Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this one we're going to be working on the maths quiz game version 2. In the last maths quiz game that we did, we worked on it as if we had to put the answers in ourselves. In this one we'll be guessing or working out the symbols that it's using for the maths equation. So it could be a plus, minus, or a multiply. Right, we're going to be exploring how to link key binding. So how to link your keyboard events to the app and then response accurately from there, and sort of engage the user with more user interactivity. All right, so let's try and start this app. All right, so at the moment, as you can see, it says press Q for plus, W for minus, and E for multiply. Right, so it's got 10 question mark for what could it be. So let's try minus. So that's W. Right, so as you can see, it says correct. Now try another, and it actually shows the symbol on the screen there. Click OK, and it gives you another number. Right, so if I press Q here for now, so it does change the symbol there, but it says incorrect. Try again, and then when you click OK, the symbol goes back to a question mark again. Right, so if I try E, so and then that's for multiply. So it once again tells me incorrect. Try again, and then it shows the symbol there. If I click OK, it goes back to question mark. And then I'll press W to say, okay, it's correct. Try another one. Okay, so right now we got a large number, so that's usually a multiply, but we'll just try these symbols here. Incorrect. That one says incorrect, and then this one says correct. Now try another one, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so this should be a fun tutorial to learn some of the core elements of Windows Form programming. So let's go and make a new project and get started on it. Okay, so in this window, I'm just going to click on create a new project. Okay, I'm gonna go with Windows Form app, .NET Framework, C# programming language. I'm gonna name this one Maths Quiz version 2, more ICT. Click create. So this would be a very simple layout for the form. So we basically need just the form and 6 labels on the form, right? So we're just gonna give a title first. So I'm just change say Maths Quiz version 2 or 3 version 2. I think 2 is enough. All right, so let's go and add the labels that we need. So I'm just going to add one label first, and then I'll copy and paste a bunch of times. So this is the first label. I'm going to change the text on the label to 00. Okay, go to the font to say about 22. So that's about right. Okay, so I'm going to press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. You can also right click and copy it as well. So all right, I'm just gonna space it out here. V again, space it out, V again, space it out a little bit, and then V again. Okay, so that would do that part here. So this is the first number that's going to show up here. So I'm going to rename this one to LBL num A. This is the symbol. So LBL symbol, LBL symbol. So the reason we put in the LBL in front of it, you don't have to, but the reason, personal reason that I do, usually when I read through the script, I know which when I'm talking, when I'm sort of sending instructions to a label or to a text box or to a button and so on. Right, and this one is LBL num B. So this one is we're not going to name this one. This one basically just going to be the equal sign. Okay, and the last one is LBL total, I think. Yeah, LBL total. So that's just going to show the total here. I'm going to come back to this one and change this one to a question mark. Okay, and I'm just going to Control V again to paste another one, right? So inside of the text here, we're just going to say press Q for plus, W for minus, and E for multiply, so X. Okay, so Q for plus, W for minus, E for X. Okay, and let's put that right there. So I'm just gonna make this form a bit smaller. If I press Ctrl A, I'm able to sort of move everything and move it to the corner here, so that way it just doesn't have unnecessary space that we don't need. Okay, so that's the app at the moment, right? So you can actually go and change some of the colors for these things as well if you want to. Move them back a little bit so it doesn't look like it's too far away. They look awfully far away from each other. now that the form's smaller, it looks yeah, that's all right. All right, so you can actually change the colors and stuff like that you want. You can add different fonts and stuff. That's perfectly fine. But we're just going to be focusing on how to respond the app by pressing the key down and key up. So what we're interested in for the form right now is if you could just click on the form. You can also click on just the form from the drop down menu here, right, from inside the properties. If you go to the events, right, so what we need to do is there are some key down, key press, key up, right? So these three here are all responsive to the keyboard events that's going to be sent to the app, and then for the app how it wants to respond. So what we want to do is you can go for the key press or the key down, but I think for this kind of app usually works better if we do like a key up event instead, because we're not interested when the button is pressed, but we're interested when the button is released from the app. Okay, so if we go here and just type in inside the key up event for the form, just type in key is up. Okay, so key is up, like so, and then press enter. So that should just add the event for us, and this event is going to be responsible for checking when we release the Q, W or E key from the keyboard, and we'll see how it actually triggers the events that we need. Okay, so to begin, just as we did before, we're going to make another function here. So we're going to say private void setup game, right? Do the small brackets and the curly brackets here. So this is the main setup game function that's going to randomize everything for us and set up all the labels and the numbers and stuff like that for us. All right, so and then after, right before that, we're just going to add a few global variables that we need to make this work. So we're going to go with a couple of integers. So int num a, int num b, int total. So these are pretty self-explanatory, I believe. All right, then we're going to need one random, rnd equals new random. So we're just going to instantiate a new random class that's going to allow us to generate a random number between a minimum and a maximum number, right? And obviously we're going to need a string array called maths, the same one that we used before in the last one. We're just going to use that again. Okay, so go add, okay, and multiply, oh no, sorry, subtract, and then obviously we do a comma multiply. Right, so inside the string, so this is a array of a type of strings, right? So all of these are text, so they don't really do anything yet until we actually put them into the switch statement, which then will return a value back to the game the way it needs to be played. Okay, and we also need a string called secret answer, and then another string called user choice. Right, it's very important that we make sure that we spell these correctly throughout the app, otherwise it might cause issues where it's looking for through the array and it doesn't have if you spelling multiply or subtract in another way, and it also is case sensitive, so just be careful about that as well, because all the letters are capitalized in the beginning of the words here. All right, so with that being done, what we're going to do is we're going to go into form1 constructor, and then we're just going to say setup game here. All right, so this function should run alongside with when the form actually loads. All right, so let's go and set up the game. Okay, so just as before, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this number is greater than this number, so that way there isn't any issues. But although in this one we're not using a text box, so we still can follow along in the same kind of way that we did in the last one. So you say num a is equals to rnd.next. Okay, do the brackets, and then in this one we say 10 to 20, right? So we find between 10 to 20, and num b is going to be again rnd.next, and in this case we're going to say 0 to 9, right? So it just finds a number between those two numbers there. We also just pick a secret answer for this one. So the secret answer is going to be one of the items from the array. So it's going to be one of the items from here. Okay, so the secret answer is maths and then do the square bracket, so that way we actually get to pick a child of the array. In this case, we just want to randomly pick one. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a random class again to say next, and then inside there we're going to say 0 and then say maths.length. Right, so however many children that this array has, we're just going to pick one from there. Right, so it's going to go between 0 and length. So if he has 3, so as soon as he runs, it might pick 0, 2 or 1 from any number of ways. Okay, and lastly what we need to do now is we say switch statement here. So type in switch, and we're just going to double tap on the keyboard. Okay, and now I'm going to say secret answer. Right, so we're looking for a string here, right? So once we look for the secret answer, we're just going to delete the default from here, make some space. Okay, so say case, first one is add, do a colon, and then do a break. Okay, second one is case subtract, colon, then do a break here as well. Last one is case multiply, colon, and then do a break. Right, so with these 3 conditions set, now we can actually tell the program what to do if this one is selected or this one is selected. All right, so it's going to be very simple. It's just going to say total equals to num a plus num b. Okay, so if it's adding, it's just going to add it together really. If it's subtracting, it's just going to minus it, and if it's multiplying, we're going to need to put the actual multiply symbol here, which is the star or asterisk. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of all of these spaces from the switch statement here. Okay, so with that done, so now it's time to show the values of these to the labels, right? So say lbl num a dot text is going to be equals to num a dot toString. So we're just converting a integer to a string just to show you on the label. lbl num b dot text is going to be equals to num b dot toString again. Okay, so just showing that the second number to the string as well, and of course we also need to show the total as well. So we say equals to total dot toString. Okay, and lastly it's going to be lbl symbol dot text is going to be equals to the question mark. So we're not going to show the value for it just yet. Okay, so that's that for the setup function. So let's just go over this function again. All right, so in the beginning we're just creating the 2 integers that we created here, num a and num b. They're both getting 2 different random numbers, and then the secret answer string is going to hold one of those from the maths array. Right, so it's just going to pick one random one, and depending on which one it picks, the total is going to be equals to either plus, minus, or multiply. And then we're just basically showing the text, showing the labels on the screen with the value of whatever number that was picked, alongside with the question mark for the labels. Okay, so end of this one, what we need to do is we need to create another function that's called check answer. So we need to make sure that the user answer and the secret answer is exactly the same. Okay, so I say here private void check answer, and then do a small bracket and then curly brackets, and just make some space in here. So this one's basically going to be an if and else statement, obviously. So we're going to say if, I'm just going to press double tap on the keyboard so it does the brackets and stuff for me. It's quite nice. So I'm going to say user choice, right, if equals secret answer. So if the user has picked the right answer is the same as the secret answer, which is holding the answer to the actual equation, right, we're going to say here message box dot show, show with a capital S is going to be equals to correct. Okay, and now try again. All right, and then right after that message box is when you click OK. So the program is going to stop here when the message box shows. It's not going to do anything until the OK is pressed. So when it's clicked OK, we're going to say setup game, And we just run the setup game again, so that way all the numbers and everything, all the other stuff, it gets randomized. All right, and then we're going to say run an else statement here to say, okay, so if this isn't true, so if you guess the wrong answer in this case, so we're going to say right there, I'm just going to copy and paste that over here, say message box.show incorrect. Okay, and just say, instead of saying now try again, just say try again. All right, what we also want to do is we want to bring this line here into this function. So we're going to say click there. So once, even if we get it wrong, we don't want the symbol to stay on the screen, we want it to reset to a question mark. Okay, all right, so with that bit done, let's go and work on the key up function. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to be looking for 3 different keys, and then we'll do we'll add them to the user choice and so on, so we're able to sort of check between these 2 answers whether the user got it right or wrong. Okay, so first what we say is if, right? So I'm just going to press double tap on the keyboard, say E. The E that I'm typing here isn't a random E, it's the E that's from here. So that's the event that's being triggered by the key event argument here, right? So you got your object, which is the sender, and then the key event argument there. So that event here has got links to all the key code and so on that we can actually use to check things, right? So we can say e.key code, right? So remember, it's key with a capital K and C with the capital C here. All right, and then say equals keys.q. Okay, all right, so now if the event that is triggered by the Q key on the keyboard, then we can do the following. So you can say user choice is equals to, right, now we can change it to add, right? And then LBL symbol dot text is going to be equals to plus, right? So that's going to be the plus sign, and then we also need to change the check answer function here. Okay, so we're changing something that's equivalent to the add, and then obviously LBL symbol that gets changed as well, and obviously we checking the check answer function just to make sure that the user got it right. If not, then we'll tell him, you know, that he can try again. All right, let's go another one. So let's go do another if here. So we can say e.keycode equals to keys dot, this time around is w, right? Let's say user choice is equals to subtract. Okay, this is once again, remember when I said about the spelling. So if it's not accurate to how it's spelled in the array, right, because we're comparing these 2, this will basically throw an error. Okay, let's go and do the LBL symbol here, dot text is equals to minus, right, and then lastly do the check game function here. Check answer, not the game. All right, and the last key, we're going to do an if again, say e.keycode equals keys dot e, right? Okay, in this case, we can say user choice, once again, is equals to multiply, right? Because we picked the e key. LBL symbol dot text is going to be a lowercase x here, semicolon, and then check answer again. Okay, so we are only triggering this event. I'm just going to get rid of these empty parts here first, actually. All right, so we're only triggering this event when these certain keys are released from the keyboard. So if you're pressing it down, that's not when the event's going to trigger. Once you release it, that's when it will trigger. Okay, now the reason I picked the release one as the main key event for this simple app is because if you press and hold any key, it will continuously trigger that event, right? So that usually can create all sorts of issues, all sorts of unintended issues for a lot of times, right? And then, you know, there are other ways to safeguard your app against those kind of things as well, and we'll go over some of these things in the coming tutorials. But for this case, just to sort of avoid the user pressing the keys and pressing and holding it, and then you have so many message boxes appear at the same time, So this way, at least we can sort of control what the user is interacting and how the user is behaving with the app. So this way you add some sort of virtual constraint around the coding and stuff like that. So a bit more of the lines of, creating a safe environment for the users and for yourself to actually experiment with stuff that you need to learn and work within Visual Studio. All right, so with that being done, I think we're pretty much done at the moment. We can just go and start the app. So if I click start, okay, so as you can see, it's saying 17 question 4 is equals to 68. What could it be? All right, let's try Q. So that says, she shows up the plus sign there. So incorrect. Try again. It goes back to the question mark. Incorrect again. Minus question mark, and then E goes to correct. Now try again, and then we go, and it randomizes the numbers again. So obviously this one is Q for plus, so correct. All right, I'll go with plus. Incorrect, really? All right, yes, it's a multiply. Yep. Okay, so then 18 5. Okay, yeah, minus. All right, let's go with Q U E. Yep, let's try that. All right, so that was the tutorial. Hopefully this one was helpful for you in the journey of learning C# programming with Windows Form and Visual Studio. Yeah, we got some more fun tutorials to make, so I'll see you on the next one.